Good evening, everyone. This is Mike from SADT. I know it's been a long time since I've been on here. I've been missing you guys. I'm glad to be back, but it's a very important reason why I'm back today. And let me start by telling you this. There's a lot of things going on. I'm sure you know about them. It's things that I expected to happen a lot sooner, but because of President Trump's style and the people who he's dealing with, it seems like it's taken a lot longer for him to actually be able to put the tools together to try to bring about some change. And that's a good thing. And I'll tell you why. It's a good thing because it gave him a bit of a chance to see the lay of the land, to understand more about what was going on in his administration, the people who was around him, because, you know, there's people capable of all kinds of things, and some of them might even be as close to people that could be considered like family. So that being said, let me dig on into what the real important purpose of me making this video tonight in particular. As you know, there are some rumors and some speculations about the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve and even some active components of the Marine Corps as well as other branches of the military. I want to start by telling people this. It's not unusual for the Marine Corps and the Navy to have what's called a frost call recall, where men have to muster to a particular area, and once they get to that area, they might draw weapons and equipment, and they might post in that location for a specific amount of time, waiting for additional orders or to carry out a particular set of orders that they have been given, but they're waiting for additional information to actually initiate the plan of action. So that's not unusual. What is unusual about what's going on is the fact that there's a timeline given that also coincides with another timeline. I don't know if anybody paid attention to it, but it all revolves around the 19th. If you pay close attention to that, that is also a date that is coincidentally related to the release of FISA information. Now, we've been hearing for weeks and months and maybe even years about things being declassified and released, and really we haven't got a whole lot of anything. But if you understand how the deep state works, then you understand that the deep state will try to do something to preempt the release of information that might be damaging to them or their cause. Their cause is the cause of the globalists. It's not the cause of the Democrats. It's not even the cause of the liberals. It's the cause of the globalists, who are actually the puppet masters, controlling everything that's going on that side of the aisle and that side of the political spectrum as well. Now, what we need to understand is that there's a lot of things going on in California right now that might also have something to do with the Marine Corps Reserve and the Marine Corps component being brought online. And let me tell you this right now. There's another speculation that's incorrect about the Marine Corps not being able to be used by the president inside the continental United States. That's a fallacy. That's wrong. The president has the authority not only to use the Marine Corps, but any branch of the military, but specifically the Navy and the Marine Corps, who were in existence before any Posse Comitatus Act was passed. They are set aside and were under a different set of circumstances than the other branches of the military. And if you don't believe this, check it out for yourself. The Marine Corps is the president's home. It's his guard. And they guard the White House. They're on the top of the roof of the White House. They're all around. They're inside. And they're not there just for ornamental decorations. Trust me on that. So the president can use them for any type of problem involving a foreign entity or a subversive group trying to sabotage or disrupt or destroy the constitutional system of government, which is the United States of America. He can use any branch of the military, but particularly the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps is a force in readiness that is a branch of the Navy, which, as I said, is not part of Posse Comitatus. Check it out for yourself. Specifically designed to activate and take action on a moment's notice on the president's orders. That does not include congressional approval to act. They need congressional approval for funding, but not to act. So with that in mind, let me tell you about something else that you may have not known. The Port of Long Beach. This is very important. The Port of Long Beach has been in the control of the Chinese, which is one of our enemies, is one of our strategic enemies. In fact, at this particular moment, it's our strongest financial and strategic opponent in the whole world. And they control one of the biggest ports in the United States. That makes no sense, and we have to do something about it. Now, the problem is the governor of California is in line with the agreement made by Obama to keep the Port of Long Beach in the Chinese's hands. He's not working with the president or the administration behind the scenes to not only create an executive order, but to actually actuate the plan to wrest control of the Port of Long Beach from Chinese interests and other people who might be using it in a way that would not be beneficial to the United States, our economy, our security, or any other kind of way. If you've been paying attention to what's been going on, the president has been acting slowly and methodically to seal off ways that the Chinese can infiltrate, control, and undermine U.S. policy, security, and the media and other ways of causing problems and discord in our country. That's his job. That's the only reason why he's there. He's the commander-in-chief, and he has a responsibility to act when he has information that lets him know that a country, an entity, a person, or an organization is undermining his interests as commander-in-chief and the best interest of every man, woman, and child in this country. Clearly, we have a whole different idealistic viewpoint in how a country is supposed to be ran. We are antithetical in the way we view things, so we're never going to have a meeting of the minds with the Chinese on these issues in the Chinese or our current way of thinking. The problem is the Chinese and the globalists and even some Americans want to change the way Americans are thinking and acting and living their lives through censorship and other ways of force, control, manipulation. They want to change our culture. They want to destroy our Constitution. They want to emasculate the man in this country. They want to confuse the children and the women, and therefore undermine and defeat us without even firing a shot. And it's working. Unless we take some type of decisive action and quick on the California issue, the blackouts, oh yeah, they have blackouts going on, and they're even instituting some forms of curfew, which in my opinion is tantamount to martial law. If you can't leave out of your house when you get ready, and you can't do things as normal without permission, or you're being sequestered inside buildings and houses or inside a car for any particular amount of time by governmental forces, to me that's martial law. Cut and dry. We're not Russia, we're not China, and we're definitely not the old German system of Nazism. So we don't have to present papers. We don't have to prove that we're going to work or that we have a reason or we want to walk our dog. I mean, people walk their dogs at night. Some people work in the daytime, and by the time they get off in the winter, it's night already. Some people work at night. Some people don't drive, especially in California. So if you walk to work, you have to get permission from someone else to get to work. That's not the American way. That's not how President Trump wants one of his states to be ran. And really, no American citizen wants California to be conducting itself in the way it's doing. Power companies shutting off people's power without respect to people who are on dialysis, people who need to go to the store. I mean, cash registers don't run when the power is out. So you can't go to the store, you can't go get gas, you can't turn on your air conditioning, you can't do, some people need this equipment. Kids can't go to school. What's going on here? Are you aware of what's going on? Are you prepared? I'll tell you what, the people in California, for the most part, that has to deal with this issue, if you check Twitter and Facebook and all the other social media platforms, you will find out that very few of them were prepared for this. Most of them probably doesn't even have enough food for one day, for one 24-hour period. And they're talking about the power might be off for 7 days. Now just think about this. If they have to do strenuous and complicated testing before they turn the system on, this is what they said. I'm actually repeating something that they said. They have to do testing before they reinstitute the power to the locations that they turn it off. Suppose when they try to turn the power on, the power fails. Suppose the blackout actually increases and covers areas that's not even covered in the current blackout situation that they caused themselves. There's no windstorm, there's no fires or anything. But let me tell you this, if a fire does break out when the power's off, it's going to be exponentially worse than it would have been if the power was on, because they need the power to actually, how is somebody, in fact, some people have to charge their cell phones. Well, they can go get in their car and charge their cell phone. That might be what people are thinking. Some people don't have cars. So whatever medical emergencies or whatever people are having, or maybe somebody's kicking their door in, they might not be able to call law enforcement. Is anybody thinking about this stuff? Well, what I suggest is that you start thinking about it and preparing yourself for what is coming. We don't know when it's coming, just like they didn't know it was coming. But trust me, it's something going on, or all of this stuff wouldn't be happening today. It's up to you to make sure that your family and your friends and yourself are taken care of. If you don't do that, You can't count on the government or anyone else to take care of you and protect you from anything. And that means food, water, shelter, a way to protect it, and the right mindset. If you don't have those things, you better get them. This is your wake-up call. If you haven't heard about this already, tune in to social media, any news system in America, or even overseas. They're talking about it. California is experiencing self-imposed blackouts in the most liberal state in the union. It's the reason why this is happening. It's the reason why it's happening now. But it's more to it, I believe, than meets the eye. I have friends in the military and in other places that believe the same thing. And if you are awake, you will understand what I'm saying here. And that just like in other countries, like Venezuela, before their power went out for a long period of time, they had little small outages and things, and they imposed certain forms of curfews and things, testing the system until they got everything ready, and then they went widespread. Same thing happened in Puerto Rico and several other places. What I'm telling you, people, is you need to wake up and get yourself prepared. No one's going to help you once the shoe drops. I mean, you have to have your own stuff ready. On my Twitter page, I created a tweet where I put pictures of from screenshots, basically, of the map when the fires were blazing all over the place, campfire, wildfire, etc., and the new blackout zones that they've created. Do you know that all of those areas overlap? It's the same area. What is it about that central region of California, that semi-mountainous region in the valley, Napa area, where all of the foothills are and stuff? What is it about that zone that's important strategically? You have to think about it like that. Think about it. Forget the fact that you're a civilian. You've never been in the military. You probably never had anything to do with law enforcement or security or anything like that. Forget for a minute that you're just a regular person and put on your military thinker's hat. Think about this for a second. If you wanted to invade a place, what corridor would you pick? Would you try the East Coast, close to Washington, D.C.? Would you try to come all the way in from the north? Would you try to come up through the south? Or would you come through the biggest state that basically borders almost the whole West Coast, where you have friendly assets right there on the terrain and a lot of mountains and things for you to go up into? My suggestion to President Trump, his military leaders, his security forces, Homeland Security, make sure that you are protecting those foothills and those access points to the mountains. Any military person would tell you, you don't let the enemy ever take the high ground. Never do that. Problem is, this is a highly densely populated area as well. So any retribution force that you might apply to try to remove an entrenched, dug-in enemy, you would also be applying to the population in that area, displacing them and turning the state of California into a war zone. So what you have to do is you have to make sure that they never get in the first place. So protect those areas and do it now. There's a lot of people in doubt, but let me tell you this. One thing about an enemy in a military sense. They're not going to ever notify you that they're going to act. It's not like impresario in chess, or like they used to fight back in the 13th, 14th, 15th century. It's none of that. If something happens, it's going to happen when the lights are out, which they're out right now in certain areas. So if the military forces of a foreign country or something like that, I'm not saying that's happening, but I'm saying if it is, who's there to stop them? A thin line of police moving throughout the city? These are trained military personnel that know how to evade, cover, and move through areas without being detected. If they weren't like that, they wouldn't be here, and they probably would have been training for this exercise for up to 2 to 5 years. I'm just telling you how it happens. Simulated areas throughout probably our own country, but over in their own country, they would have been practicing the scenario of how to do this in areas that look just like America. The people would speak English. They would move throughout America with civilian clothes on. So just know that this is a possibility, and we're not immune from attack. We're not immune from another Pearl Harbor incident. So again, and for the last time, I'm going to tell people on this video, get your stuff together, get your mind together, because this is your greatest weapon against any type of tyranny or attack. If you have everything else in the world ready and you don't have this together, you still lose. So this is Mike from SADT. I'm glad to be back. I think this is an important time to come back. If for no other reason, 2020 is right around the corner. And I have a lot to say. And I'm going to say it because I think it needs to be said. But this other situation could be great. It could be something in the making that I don't think people on the West Coast or in the near regions of the country in that area are ready for. Not even the people in Oregon and Washington State. That said, people who are like me, you know what you need to do. You need to get eyes on the area. I don't care if they tell you to stay in the house. Somebody needs to be out there with their eyes open, with video and everything that they need to do recon in the area, get the information to the uh, mainstream media even, but most importantly to the alternative media so they can be publicized so we can try to put a stop to any type of situation before it can happen. This is important. With that said, I want to let you guys know again, thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed what you heard, and if you heard things that might help you and your family and your friends and your nation, I want you to hit that like button, subscribe if you want to, but get this information out. Pass it around to your family, your friends, post it on Facebook and Twitter, and bring more people to me. I need more followers. I need people to actually go out and recruit people to join my site, because I'm not just a video maker. I'm an instructor. I can instruct just as well as I can in a room with you through these videos. I'm going to be putting out a video on home hardening, which is going to be unique from anything else you've ever heard about getting your home ready for possible invasion of criminals or dissidents, foreign troops, or anybody who might be assaulting into your home. That home might be an apartment. And this is one of the important things about my channel. I realize that everybody doesn't live out in a rural environment like I do. Everybody doesn't live in an area where they have a lot of room or they have a home. They might live in a one-bedroom apartment. They might have stairs that they have to go up and down in a loft, things like that. They might have uh, 50 apartments that's attached to their home, but it's still their home. And their home is their castle. And I want to show you how to protect it and keep it safe for you and your family. So tune in to my next video. It's coming soon. And be strong and stay safe.